It's the middle of June, and that means first contact with the rising junior class. In fact, on Monday, Coach Davis doled out his second scholarship offer in the class of 2026. And oh, what a get this young man would be.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, it's Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and I want to welcome you into getting your Tar Heels content every single day. Thanks for making us your first listen or watch. Special shout out to all you everydayers out there and all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord. It's good to be together. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job right now at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Again, terms and conditions apply. Coming up on the show today, first off, speaking of Discord, had a hilarious review. I'm so grateful for all the reviews because it means people are watching and tuning in, but this one was great. 3 stars. Honestly, these are usually the 1-star variety, and it said this. Could someone teach some vocabulary to Isaac? Why would anyone be part of a Discord community sowing arguments and animosity? Please call it, if it needs a name, discourse. So I think I need to explain this because apparently not everyone out there understands. There's actually an app called Discord that hosts communities of sports fans. And so the Locked On Tar Heels Discord is like a group of Tar Heel fans, specifically Locked On Tar Heels community, that come together. And to the opposite point of this, it's actually the most congenial sports fandom group I've ever been a part of. So that's the only reason I say Discord, not because it's backwards or because I don't know vocab. No, I totally know what the word Discord means. This is just an app that hosts things. So come be part of it, man. Links in the show notes. Anyway, it's Tuesday. It's Trivia Tuesday. Been a minute. We haven't done it in a couple weeks. Very simply, here it is. This is the 12th time North Carolina has been to the College World Series. All you got to do is name the years, and bonus, name the 2 times that North Carolina has made the championship round. We'll answer that at the end of the show. All right, to catch everyone up, in case people don't know, June 15th is when you can start for the first time offering officially contacting, directly to the rising junior class. So obviously this year, that would be the class of 2026. Before that, you can contact parents and coaches and they can send the messages. It's just when now I can contact little Billy directly and say, hey, little Billy, would love for you to come be a Tar Heel, right? And so that's what that is. It's always this big thing of who's the first player you're contacting at midnight as the calendar changes from June 14 to June 15. So that's the whole thing. And we always talk about who those first several players are that Coach Davis is contacting, or Coach Williams before him. And so we'll look at that more in the days to come. But today I want to talk about it because on Monday, Coach Davis gave out his second scholarship offer in the class of 2026. The first was Cole Clore. We did a show about him a little while ago. And now we get the second, and his name is Tyran Stokes. He's consensus number 2 player in the class, number 1 front court player. He's number 1 at 247, or excuse me, I said that completely incorrectly. Number 2 at 247 Sports, at On3, and at Rivals, and is number 1 at ESPN. Those are the 4 main basketball recruiting sites that we all recognize. And so 247, On3, Rivals, he's number 2. ESPN, he's number 1. And Stokes tweeted out on Monday evening, quote, blessed to receive an offer from the University of North Carolina, end quote. It's a pretty boilerplate for what you do with that. And but it's great to know Carolina has been watching this guy for a while, and Coach Davis gives the call, gives the offer, and we'll see what happens with it. So Stokes plays at Prolific Prep, which is out in California. He's originally from Louisville area, has moved around a good bit, and now is from Napa, California. Interestingly enough, his family owns a whole bunch of vineyards. They're like wine farmers or grape farmers. I don't know what you call it. And oddly enough, they make the world's best wine, is what no, I'm just kidding. I have no idea what his family does in Napa, California, but they live in Napa. You got to pretend like they're grape farmers, right? That's the whole thing. Anyway, so prolific prep, lives in Napa, California, 6'7", 6'8", 245 pounds. Just another one of these power forwards, right? You remember, not only has Coach Davis offered a bunch of elite 2025 players, the vast majority, particularly early, of those players were power forwards. Cam Boozer, Koa Pete, for example. Well, here we go again, offering this dude who, by the way, just it's silly. Watch this dude play basketball. I beg you to go watch Tyran Stokes play basketball, and you'll just laugh at how ridiculously good he is at this game. Also on Monday, not only did he have the honor of receiving a North Carolina scholarship offer, but was also named a finalist for the USA Under-17 team on Monday. And so really cool news for him in that regard. For AAU, he plays on the Oakland Soldiers, and in the most unfair thing in all of AAU competition, one of his teammates is AJ DeBanza. Yeah, who previously was part of the same class, reclassed up to 25, and is now the number one player over Cam Boozer. And so these two guys playing together, it's just silly. It's not fair, and nobody should have to go up against it, but they do. They play together, and I'm here for it. From Inside Carolina's reporting about Stokes, UNC has been tracking him for around a year, went to see him at the NBPA Top 100 camp last year, saw all that kind of stuff. And look, he has this wild mix of basketball skill, innate basketball, like athletic ability, and that size, that 6'8"-ish, 245 pounds. It's like Zion height, but like 40 pounds less, right? Like that's what we're talking about. But that mix of size, skill, and movability doesn't come along all that often. And when it does, baby, it is special. And that's what Tyran Stokes is, man. He is special. And so as you would expect from that skill set, from everything he does, everybody and their brothers in on this guy, and their sister and aunts and uncles all want him too. But it's good for Carolina to get in this mix if he's somebody that they want. And so I love it. But I mean, just all the big names, I'll just name some off alphabetically that have offered him. Alabama, Auburn, Florida State, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisville, Michigan, Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, UCLA, and more. That's just like a sampling of it. Again, everybody wants Stokes. I always trust what Eric Bossi, who's the national recruiting director for 247 Sports, has to say. So I'd just like to read you quickly this quote about him. Quote, he, Stokes, is locked in a heated battle for the number one spot in the class of 2026, and he's done it all spring. He has put his best foot forward in Colorado Springs, which is where those USA Under-17 trials are at. Outside of 2025's number one ranked player, AJ DeBanza, who we just talked about, a real argument can be made that Stokes has been the most dominant player in attendance. Do you understand what he's saying there? Outside of DeBanza, the most dominant player there at these trials with the best like high school players in the country. Love it. Stokes has been the most dominant player in attendance. Stokes threw down one ferocious dunk after another, shot an easy ball from deep. I love that description. Played with as much physicality as anybody and has been totally engaged on both ends of the floor. That's unique. During his sophomore season, there were questions about his body language and overall buy-in at times. That would have been this past year. But since, and especially in Colorado Springs, Stokes has been awesome in every regard. He's looked the most focused and locked in that 247 Sports has ever seen him, end quote. I mean, if that's not a glowing review, I just don't know what is. This man is bringing everything to the table. So, of course I'm going to like him, and you're going to like him. He's the number 2 player in this class and the second one that Carolina has offered in the class. Let me give you 4 specific reasons I like Stokes, and these are 4 of, I could name off 10 or 11, but 4 that really, really stand out to me. Number 1, he dunks everything in his way, including probably dunking on his own grandma if she was standing there. It's just one of those kind of guys that you can just tell is like, I have ferocious intent right now to tear down this rim and anything in my way. And I love it. Like just attacking with wild abandon. Number 2, he's got good enough handles to get himself to the rim. Like doesn't rely on having to cut or having to back opponents down. Like, give him the ball out on the wing, give him the ball in transition, let him go, and he can get there. And I mean, again, the combination of what he brings to the table is unique. And so you want to see it in action. Number 3, his spot up shooting is quick trigger and it looks good. Again, I love how Bossy put it. He shoots an easy ball from deep. I love that. It's fluid. His shot looks good. I mean, it just rolls right off his hand. He's ready. He's got a shot for him ready to go. Good stuff. Number 4, some of why I really like Stokes. He's feisty. Ooh, he's feisty and I like it. Like, he dunks, and it's not like in a turd sort of way where it's like you want to take him behind the bleachers and beat him up because like homeschool kind of, you know what I mean? It's just, he just wants to win and he wants to beat you. And I love seeing his aggressiveness, his competitiveness. I know as Bossy said, there were questions about his body language and overall buy-in, but that's something we've all got to overcome as we mature and things like that, especially athletes. And so if Bossy's convinced, I'm convinced and it's good enough to me. So man, I'm excited to watch more of Stokes and what he brings to the table. So obviously many more offers will come in the class of 26. Reminder, right now, the Tar Heels have 14 active out in the class of 25. I say active because, as a reminder, Isaiah Harwell just cut North Carolina out of his list. And keep in mind, it's often hard in this day and age to know exactly what you need or want or don't need or don't want from a class, from a high school recruiting class, until you get closer and closer to it. So you just start putting out inquiries, seeing about like, oh, this dude, I don't care who else we got, I want him. And then you go for it. So that's where things are at. All right. Today, Tuesday, Carolina baseball has to play an elimination game against Florida State. It could be the end of the season, but I want to give you several things to watch for in this game, including getting to know the Seminoles just a little bit. And we'll move on from there and see what we got. See if Carolina can keep on moving along in Omaha. We'll do that in just a second. Right after I tell you about LinkedIn, when you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. So you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs, which has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn's not just some job board. They help you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else. Even those who might not even be looking for a job, but would be open to just that perfect fit like they might find at LinkedIn. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users aren't even visiting other leading job sites, man. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. So hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. They know that so many small businesses just wear a bunch of hats and might not have the time or resources or capability to hire or hire well, at least. So they're constantly finding ways to make this process more efficient for you. For example, they just recently launched a feature to help write job descriptions. Again, making this process just easier and quicker. If you want to get in on that, post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, it's game day for the Tar Heels. Number 4 national seed versus the number 8 national seed Florida State. Two teams coming out of the ACC that, oddly enough, didn't play each other this year or last year. This game is 2 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. Carolina will be the home team. Again, they didn't face off. They didn't play this season or last season. It's been since 2022. The winner will move on to play Tennessee on Wednesday in the bracket final. Remember, the winner will have to beat Tennessee twice to move on to the championship. The loser of this game is done. Season over. You hate to see that. So North Carolina, just to give you a little context of the past couple times they've done this, each of the past 5 times, not including this one, that they've been at the College World Series, they've started 1-1 in some order, whether win-loss or loss-win. Of those 5, they've won this game, game 3, 3 times, 2007, 8, and 13. And obviously that means they've lost it 2 times. That was in 2009 and 18. So there's more precedent for winning, but there's also recent precedent and almost as much for losing. So you just got to go out and play your game. You might be aware, Carolina, this is their 12th trip to the College World Series, never won the championship. Florida State, though, same thing, except this is their 24th visit. So imagine that. Double the amount of times that Carolina has been to the College World Series, never won. That's just hard to fathom for me. As good a program as Florida State is, as great a program as they were under Mike Martin, it's tough to believe, but it's true. In fact, they've only even made it to that championship, been the runner-up 3 times, 1970, 86, and 99. So in this format, that where the field expanded to 64 teams, that started in 99. So they've only been to the finals once in this era. Kind of crazy to believe. Mike Martin, one of the greatest coaches in all of college baseball history, finished with the Seminoles. This is now their 2nd season under new coach Link Jarrett. And so, crazy how long that Martin tenure was. Actually, when I was in high school and, trying to make a name for myself as a baseball player, went to baseball camp at Florida State under him, got to meet, that whole thing. It's cool. Great man. Florida State in this year's College World Series, you probably saw what happened Friday night. If you didn't, you need to go check out the highlights of that game. Insanely sloppy first couple innings, both teams, both Tennessee and Florida State. Tennessee obviously had cleaned that up by the time they played the Tar Heels on Sunday, and Florida State was much better when they played Virginia, on Sunday. And so I expect Florida State to come out better, but man, I tell you what, they had that game against Tennessee won, and they should have been able to do so. In fact, there was arguably a call, like a check swing call, that the umpiring crew got wrong. That would have been the ball game, and Florida State would have won had he rung him up. But the umpire said no go, no swing, and then Tennessee ended up winning. So crazy stuff there. And then beat Virginia in an elimination game on Sunday. And here we go. Now we've got this matchup here today on Tuesday. Expected matchup for North Carolina righty Aiden Houck, 4-2 on the season, 4.53 ERA. We expect Florida State to counter with lefty Andrew Armstrong. Armstrong's 5-0 on the season, perfect win-loss record, but a 6.98 ERA. So Carolina should be able to get to this guy, at least based on what he's done this year. Let me give you just 2 names to know for the Seminoles. James Tibb III is their right fielder, ACC Player of the Year. Jamie Ferrer has been hitting very well in the College World Series, 4 for 9. He's their left fielder. All right, let me give you the 4 bases preview. First base, number 1 that Carolina has to do. Just got to score runs. You got to be productive against Armstrong. You got to do things. And remember, lefty, a lot of times you see lefty, it's like, oh man, that's bad for a lineup. Carolina literally switches righty-lefty every batter until switch hitting Colby Wilkerson at the end of the lineup. So there's less concern about that with the Tar Heels, but you just got to do it. Carolina, in their last 3 games, so the 2 College World Series games and the clincher against West Virginia, just 6 runs scored in those 3 games. Now, believe it or not, they've actually won 2 of them. That alone is telling of the pitching and defense. But the lowest previous 3-game stretch this season of runs output was 11 runs. So this is the only 3-game stretch all season that Carolina has failed to make it to double digits in the 3 games combined. That's insane. And it says so much of their offense, but they've got to find it today. Number 2, second base that I'm watching for and that we should all be watching for. How long will Aiden Houck be able to go, and who will be after him? In an ideal world, he pitches a Maddox, which is like a 100 pitch or less complete game shutout. I highly doubt we're going to get that from anybody in the College World Series because the batters are just too good and the aluminum bats and all that. But I'm thinking, if you could get 5, 6 out of Houck, that would be perfect. And then after that, I think you look to see where the game's at. If things are good, if Carolina's up 3-4 runs, I don't think you go immediately to Dalton Pence at that point. I think you go to a different arm out of the bullpen to see, if we don't absolutely have to use Dalton Pence today, Tuesday, could we not? Now, if you're in a situation where it's like this is do or die, it's tied or we're behind, I think you might have to go to Pence to try to save your season, put up a 0, and see what the offense can do, right? And so I think it's going to be situationally determined, so we'll watch for that. Number 3 in our 4 bases, thing I'm watching for. The Carolina defense just has to keep doing what they're doing. They don't have to do anything special. Just be them. 0 errors in Omaha. Played, 18 innings of baseball, not made a single error. Physical error anyway. There's been a couple mental errors, as you see. But just keep doing that, and that should keep Carolina in the baseball game. Like if FSU's hitting, which you tip your hat and you say, well done, fellas. But let's not help them, right? Number 4, home plate. Don't let this moment be too big. Don't make it bigger than a baseball game. Deep breaths, play baseball, have fun, play loose. Just be dudes out there. Be teammates who love each other, which this Carolina crew really seems to do. They seem to have great chemistry and really enjoy each other. So let's not make this the last time you get to enjoy each other. And a lot of the way you do that is go out and play loose and not think, not overthink. Just play baseball, play winning baseball. All right. So that's the 4 bases. Score runs. How long will Houck go? Defense, just keep doing what they're doing and don't let the moment be too big for anybody. All right. Well, do want to kind of take stock, though, if this is to be it. If Carolina can't keep their season alive, boy, it's been a special ride, and we want to go ahead and celebrate that now while we're still in the midst of it. We'll talk about all that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel. Summertime, it means baseball, the NBA Finals, which ended on Monday night, and more. And you can bet on all of it on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the MVP of the MLB All-Star game to who's going to hit one out of the park. How about odds to win the 2025 NBA championship, since we just wrapped up the 24 version on Monday night? Boston plus 300, the Nuggets plus 750, Timberwolves plus 850, Mavs plus 900, and Bucks and Thunder both tied at plus 1,000. So to get in on that action or anything else, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The big question for today in Scott Forbes' club: can Carolina keep their season alive? And quite frankly, not just their season, but they're playing for the hopes of all of us who are still living in the 23-24 school year. This is it. Once this is done, we're checking out till 2024-25 and August when stuff starts rolling back around. But I want to say this right now, before this game even has the first pitch. Whatever happens, what a special season this has been. And you all know as well as I do, in this transfer portal era, man, you might think you have a team and you just don't. In this transfer portal era, you might be like, I think we're going to be good, but I don't really know. And then it's like, oh, we're world beaters, right? Or anywhere in between. And so all the more reason, I believe, to cherish what's going on while it's still going on. So while we're on the edge of the precipice, that's using like synonyms, Shade, you dork. When you're on the precipice of the end of a season like this, since this is win or go home, it's always good to be able to take stock before it actually is all said and done, so as to appropriately appreciate what we've got while we technically still have it. And I mean, as you look and think about this, for example, it's like, y'all, this is the last ride with Vance Honeycutt. This dude's about to go off and get picked in the first, maybe front end of the second round of the MLB draft. This is the best defensive center fielder in the nation. This is a dude that can be a game changer in a multitude of ways, either in the field or at bat. And he's done both this offseason. I think we cherish the Vance Honeycutt side of it all the more because he wasn't healthy this time last year. Big time disappointment for him and the team, because he wanted to be out there. It was killing him to not. But to be able to come back now to do the things he's been doing, you absolutely love to see it. But means all the more appreciate every Vance Honeycutt at bat today. Every time he tracks down a ball and makes it look like, oh, here's my morning coffee while I catch this pop fly, whatever. Like, not normal people don't do what he does. So soak it in. This team is also special because it's made up of a very unique mix of players from different backgrounds and experiences and ways they got to Carolina, all contributing. You've got, for example, several key transfers. I'll just name a couple of them. Parks Harbor Anthony D'Onofrio, Alex Madera, Shea Sprague. I mean, that's your starting first baseman, right fielder, second baseman, and one of your weekend pitchers. And I love it because they're coming from all over the place, like the Power 5 level, like Parks Harbor coming from Georgia, or Shea Sprague coming from Elon. Like, you've just got all these random places these dudes are coming from, but they all come in together to be Tar Heels. So you've got key transfer additions. You've also got several key freshmen. Luke Stevenson, freshman freshman catcher. Gavin Gallagher, freshman third baseman. Jason DeCaro, right now your number one starter as a freshman. Like, of the 9 guys playing the field to start game 1 of the College World Series, 1/3 of them were freshmen. Those 3 guys I just named. That's wild to me. And then you've also got starting vets. You've got shortstop Colby Wilkerson, who's a senior. Vance, the junior. Casey Cook, it's his 3rd year in there. He's a sophomore, but he's a redshirt sophomore. It's his 3rd year in the program. Alberto Osuna, senior, all right? Like, you've got these guys at different experience levels that have been around and contributing before and continue to contribute. But then you've also got a couple guys that are returners, that are veterans, that have had to take a back seat a little bit more this year, like Jackson Vanderbrake, like Johnny Castagnazzi, like Connor Bover. For Vanderbrake, this is his 2nd year at North Carolina. Last year, he played in 58 games, started 57 of them. This year, he's played in 48, but started just 20. Johnny Castagnazzi, he's a senior, having played all 4 years at North Carolina. In his first 3, combined to play 140 games, started 124 of them. This year, played in just 29 and started just 10. But, man, he's been all in on the program. Connor Bover, as a sophomore, 9 starts, 14 relief appearances. Last year as a junior, 14 starts, 2 relief appearances. This year, just 1 start and only 27 total innings pitched. That's only half of his sophomore year total of 54. Last year, he had 72 innings pitched. This year, just 27. Taking a back seat, but willing to help this team with whatever has to happen. That's what all these guys are doing, and you love to see it. And that's not even to mention the injuries. You had another key freshman, Folger Boaz, pitcher, would have been part of the weekend rotation, and was. Jake Knapp, same thing, a senior, injured. And it's just, you look at that mix of all these guys, the injuries, other things like that, and man, how can you not but smile and be grateful for what this season has been? And what a time for Scott Forbes to get to do it at just his 4th season at the helm of this program after so many years being the guy to support the guy in Coach Fox, right? But here we are. And so I would absolutely love for this ride to keep going. I would love to beat Florida State today, Tennessee, each of the next 2. Just win 5 more wins and you win the World Series. But also 1 more loss and you're done. Unless you get, I guess, to the championship round when it's best 2 out of 3. But should this ride end, I just right now want to say thank you to this special group of gentlemen who have taken us on an electric ride here in the back part of May and early June. Thank you. What a blast it's been. All right, Trivia Tuesday answer. Again, very simply, this is the 12th College World Series trip for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Name those 12, including this year. I'll give them to you. Pause it if you're not ready and try to see what you can get. 1960, 66, 78, 89, pretty big gap, but then 06, 07, 08, 09, 11, 13, 18, and 24. So that stretch from 06 to 13, 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, 13. Made 6 out of 8 College World Series, y'all. That's bonkers. And I said bonus if you can get the 2 years that Carolina went to the championship round. That was 2006 and 2007, both of which they lost to Oregon State. The Beavers, oh man, they're the worst. Well, gang, that's it. Hopefully we will be celebrating a victory on tomorrow's show, or if we do a live postcast to the game, we'll get to do that and look ahead. So fingers crossed for that. Again, remember, this afternoon, 2 o'clock p.m., 1 p.m. Central Time there in Omaha. If you're not part of the show, if you haven't subscribed to it already on audio and video, go ahead and do that. Very easy to do, both on your favorite podcast platform, audio version, or on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button. Also hit that bell notification. So if we do go live, if Carolina wins, we'll probably do that, that you get notified that we're going live and you can just tap right in. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, Discord, the app that hosts our Locked On Tar Heels community, we'd love to have you come be part of that. The link's in the show notes and it's free to join all the time, always. It's such a fun place to be. So many great Carolina people in there. Seriously, if you're not in, you're missing out. Well, win or lose today, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.